Hello guys, my name is Suraj Nagarwal and I'm back with a new episode of the Great Marketers Show, where I interview top marketers and entrepreneurs of this online space, where I believe that all entrepreneurs should take off their entrepreneurship hat and put on their marketer's hat. Because of the good marketing, we are able to change and impact on more lives. So over here, you will get all your marketing answers. Today, we are inviting the one and only Katie Richardson. Katie is the mindset coach, mom of four, wife author, founder of Push, and a powerful speaker. She coached 7 to 8 figures incredible entrepreneurs, including Josh Forti, Kathryn Jones, and many others. She is also featured in the Entrepreneur magazine and also in the shows like the Rachael Ray shows, Today shows, and many popular shows. She also famous in the celebrities because few famous celebrities are using their products. So let's get start. Invite Rachel, Katie Richardson in the house.
Hello,
So
hello.
Hi Katie, how are
Hello,
you?
hello. Doing amazing. Excited to be here. Excited to share some marketing tools and tactics and tricks with your audience.
That's awesome. That's awesome, and I'm so much grateful to have you on my show. Thank you so much for giving me your precious time. And so let's get started because we have already started with the time. So I want to hear your background story from how did you came aware about this online journey.
Yeah, so I was a product designer who knew the process of creating a concept that maybe we just have in our mind. I knew the process of how to turn that into reality, a real thing that you can hold in your hand and you can use. And yet I didn't have a business degree. And what's really amazing is I took this process of visualizing and imagining and understanding how to turn that into reality. And I actually applied it to my business. And as a young mother, I saw a need for moms and I designed and created an infant bathtub that hangs in stores flat and then it folds into a little bucket seat that fits in your bathroom sink. And the reason this really took off is it was super innovative. It was something that I had patented and owned. If anybody in the world wanted it, there was only one place they could get it, and that was from me. And I had not just built a product, but a brand, a brand that had values, a brand that really attracted my customer, really spoke to them. And when it took off, it took a little while for me to like really get myself out there. But once I did, it exploded. And within a short amount of time, we were in 2,000 stores in the US with distribution in 26 different countries. That same first year that things really took off, that's when I was featured on the Ellen Show and the Rachael Ray Show. We were named Product of the Year by Pregnancy and Newborn Magazine. And there was just all this validation all of a sudden. And very quickly, I had to figure out how to become an international distributor and to manage a warehouse, to continue to grow the business. And it was learn as you go. But I think the thing that really had me sticking around and continuing to grow is what I was talking to you about just a minute ago, which was the brand and the brand values and really ensuring that I was living those values at every touch point of the business. Would it be helpful if I kind of shared some examples?
Yes. You can share
Okay.
everything here.
Yeah. So the company Pudge, PUJ, it's all about simplifying parenthood. And the values are simplicity, freedom, independence, family, and now and wow. And, family is really important to me. I'm a mother of four. Sometimes I work with my husband in certain businesses. And so involving my family in the business was important to me. And so you'll see my kids on the packaging design. I've got video of my kids riding plasma bikes through the warehouse. And, I would invite girlfriends and their kids into my warehouse, into my studio, so I could test out prototypes and ideas and get their feedback. And, that's one example. Another one, now and wow, when somebody wanted to be a distributor for the products, they would fill out an application online. And as soon as they hit submit, my global sales director immediately got a notification and he would immediately call them. So within seconds, they had the guy that they needed to talk to on the phone. and they could ask any questions that they had, and he could help them place the order immediately. So it's about getting clear on your values and then specifically deciding how are we going to live these values in all of the touch points of the company. I mean, the same is true with my manufacturers. I made sure that they were not guessing on anything, and that when they started and they put raw goods in at the beginning of the production line, that what came out on the other end was exactly to the quality specifications that I had and wanted. And so that meant I had to, understand that manufacturing process really, really well, and then give them what's called a tech packet that simplified this process, and I kind of problem solved for them, and it ensured that we're going to get a great product at the end. So simplifying that process, even for my manufacturers, again, that's one of the values, right? Simplicity. So it's important to understand your values and how can you infuse that into your company in a way that it creates this strong, powerful, cohesive brand that has people having a consistent experience with you across the board, no matter where they are. Like for me, it was B2B, business to consumer, and my marketing and my manufacturing. Like those values were being lived every area of my business. You're muted, Sarah. At least I can't hear you.
Are you getting my voice now? Are you getting my voice?
Yes. Yeah,
Bit
now
loud.
I can hear you.
Okay, that's awesome. I really don't know what's going wrong with the mic right now. Sorry for the inconvenience, but this is this awesome that you have shared with us, and I really appreciate that this is called the best marketing tactics ever. Because the simplicity is the biggest thing in this market, and we if we are adopting this particular thing in our businesses, so we can just scale it faster and make it more simple. I like the simplicity. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing your background story, and I really appreciate that you reached that particular company to this level and spread this business in many countries. So I am so much happy to have you here, because the guy who have the business in all the countries, that's really awesome. And you can say this is my dream that is manifest today, because uh,
Mm,
you are also in my dream 100 and I'm in dream today. So that's awesome, and thank you so
so
much for
cool.
giving me your time.
Yeah.
So the next thing is, because you're the mindset coach and you're teaching 7 to 8 figures about the strong and the positive mindset. So what are the common elements need to be developed for a strong and a positive mindset?
You know, I started to kind of discover the power of mindset within business really early on. At the time, it was like 2008, 2009. Nobody was talking about mindset. Nobody was interested in mindset. And yet, I could see that my thoughts were literally disrupting my workflow. And I would, again, as a mother of 3 and 4 at the time, I was trying to work, and I would, maybe my mother-in-law was watching my kids for me so that I could get some work done at the office, or even travel and go to a trade show or go negotiate with Target. And I noticed that when I was away from my kids, I felt guilty that I was not being a good mom. And when I was with my kids, I felt guilty that I was not being a good entrepreneur. And I thought, wow, isn't that interesting? That when I'm with them, I feel guilty. When I'm not with them, I feel guilty. And vice versa. When I'm working on my business, I feel guilty. When I'm not working on my business, I feel guilty. And I was like, how does that, like, when I feel guilty, how does that make me feel? Well, it makes me feel frustrated and like I'm not a good person and not worthy and not as good as other people. And ultimately, what it was doing, it was creating drag. And I would try to be focusing at work, and it was just like this constant interruption of guilt and distraction. And I thought, who benefits from that? Is it making things easier for my mother-in-law if she's watching the kids if I feel guilty? And I was like, no. And if anything, it makes it harder for her, because I come home and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. It took me so long. I'm like throwing my guilt at her. And when I'm at work and I'm like feeling guilty at work as I'm trying to work with my employees, it's not benefiting them. It's not benefiting my kids. It's not benefiting my husband. It's not benefiting my retailers. And I was like, wow, nobody's benefiting here. Nobody's benefiting. And yet I'm creating this. And I thought, what would it look like to change that? Because I started to wonder if the guilt that I was feeling was just a bad habit. And I thought, what would it look like if I were to change that? And what's something that would, rather than feeling heavy, because that's how I felt when I was felt guilty. Rather than feeling heavy, what if I could like actually lighten people's load? And if instead of when I went to pick my kids up from my mother-in-law, instead of like throwing guilt at her and I'm so sorry, it took so long, I had this and this and this, what if instead I was sharing something with her that was having her feel light? And I thought, well, gratitude feels amazing. Like when somebody expresses gratitude to me, like it literally lifts me up. I thought, okay, well, what if instead of feeling guilt while I'm at work, what if I was grateful that my mother-in-law is somebody I can trust and somebody who my kids love being around? What if I changed that guilt to gratitude? And when we have a bad habit, you can't just stop doing the thing. You need to replace it, right? So if I'm drinking Cokes all day and I want to back off my soda consumption, maybe I can start drinking sparkling water. Maybe just replace one soda a day with a sparkling water which doesn't have any sugar in it, right? And I can still have that, drink, but I'm replacing it. I still have triggers, but I'm replacing it. And so I started doing that, replacing the bad habit of guilt. I started replacing it with gratitude. And Sarah, it like transformed my life. And all of a sudden, I felt like so much lighter and happier and focused and clear. And I was making better decisions at work. I was more present with my kids at home. And like that switch was one that well, I believe in higher power. And I believe that the higher power helped me to see that through the questions that I was asking in my head. And when I started making those shifts, I was like, wow, that's amazing. What else are my thoughts stopping me from doing? What else are my thoughts disrupting? What else are my thoughts? Where else are my thoughts creating drag in my life? And I just started getting curious about this. And I started to notice other thoughts that made me feel heavy, that made me feel shame, that made me feel small and insignificant. I was at a trade show and I was talking to a man, and very quickly I found out he was the CEO of Carter's, which is, who doesn't know what Carter's is? If you have a baby, you know what Carter's is. And all of a sudden I started to feel fear. And I was worried about how I was going to interact with him. And like I could see myself in this conversation when I didn't know who he was, AKA when I wasn't afraid of him. I was I was hanging with him and I was having an amazing conversation. And then as soon as I figured out who he was and I was afraid, I started to diminish myself and feel afraid. And I switched it. I switched it back to this. Yes, he's the CEO of Carter's and he has customers. He has needs. I'm a problem solver. I create solutions. And I switched back into that place of knowing who I am and not being in that place of fear and diminishing. And it all happened in my head live in the middle of the conversation. And by the end of the conversation, he knew that I was like launching my product. And by the end of the conversation, we talked for like 10 or 15 minutes. By the end of the conversation, he was like, Katie, I'm super impressed with you. Like, where did you learn all of this ability to sell and negotiate? And I said, well, I'm just a person who likes solving problems, and that's why I'm here. So you might call it sales, but I call it problem solving. And he was really impressed with my ability to sell my product. And look, I didn't like sales. I still don't like sales, but I can sell a $120,000 contract to somebody that I just met. And it's because I'm very, very good at problem solving. And again, it's a shift, it's a mindset shift. And when you understand how to internally be in a place where you're on solid ground, where you're standing on a firm foundation, and you're not on this shaky ground of fear and feeling like believing that you have something to hide, when you can stand on that solid ground, you can have an amazing conversation with somebody and like genuinely help people in the world. And so that's how I started to discover the power of mindset. And this is why it's so much of what I bring to my business coaching, because it doesn't matter how much information when it comes to tactics and tools and strategy, it doesn't matter how much of that I share with the CEOs that I'm coaching, if their thoughts are pushing it out, if their thoughts are disrupting it and creating so much drag. So I start with the mindset and I show my entrepreneurs how to create a powerful mindset. And once they have that foundation, then I can show them the strategy, and they can you know, outpace their competition with way less effort. We feel like as entrepreneurs we need to be super disciplined. And yes, there is a certain level of discipline. But I see people who are kind of white knuckling it at this high level of have to discipline, when what we can really do is remove the roadblocks that are in their mind, remove those roadblocks, and then all of a sudden they're in this place of flow, and it becomes fun, it becomes exhilarating, and you're able to perform at a level that you always dreamed of, but for some reason you couldn't get there previously. And it's because of what was going on here.
Super, super awesome golden nugget that you have shared, and I really appreciate that people are making the notes of that particular thing. That small mindset change can help you to understand what the problem you're facing, and you need to understand how guilty you can change into the gratitude. This is the biggest thing in this universe that people don't know, and they are just fighting with their fears, and they are not able to resolve that. As like Kathy is helping others to with his skills, her skills, to being a problem solver for them. So I thought you need to learn that particular skill, how you can become a problem solver and how you can change the small mindset shift that can help you to grow more. So the next thing is, I have just read a lot about the mindset because you are in my dream 100. So I researched a lot. So I have found the two particular things, which is how we can determine whether we have a fixed mindset or growing mindset.
So if you have a fixed mindset, it's only because you believe you have a fixed mindset. I mean, the science on the mind and the brain, even in like the last 5 years, is really incredible. And they have really discovered just how quick the mind can shift and change and even heal. And they call it neuroplasticity. And the ability for the mind to even heal itself is way greater than science believed for most of humanity. I mean, like when I was a young girl in grade school, I was told that when you kill your brain cells, like they're gone, they're dead, and they never come back. And so in my mind, it was like, oh, well, I guess throughout our life, I guess we're just getting dumber. And that's not true. That's what they believed not that long ago, but it's not true, and it's been shown that you can change your mind. And throughout our day, we have these thoughts. And these thoughts make us believe something. And when we believe that, we then have feelings and emotions. And from this place of thought and feeling, we start to take action. And to really simplify it, we can either have thoughts that make us afraid and feel afraid and scared and take action from that place, or we have thoughts that make us excited and believe in infinite possibility and take action from that place, right? We have hope that we can change our reality, we can change our bank account, we can impact and help and serve people in a really new and exciting and profound way. And so the game is to notice your thoughts and how they're making you feel. And am I taking action from a place of fear? Or am I taking action from a place of hope and possibility and what I call power, where you are aligned with your values, where you are aligned with your creator, and where you are making decisions that literally line up with your thoughts and your beliefs and your hopes and your dreams? I was really fortunate to move my family to Puerto Rico in January. And Sarah, this was a dream. Like I'd been living in the Pacific Northwest, which is a beautiful place, but it's like, gray and cold and rainy 9 months out of the year. And after 15 plus years of being in the Pacific Northwest, I was like, it's time for an adventure. We're an adventurous family, and it's time for a change. And I want to go in a place where my kids can be homeschooling, where they can be learning a new language. And so we moved to Puerto Rico in January. And it was because I had envisioned it in my mind. I had allowed myself to hope and dream for that. And I started making decisions based on that. Was it easy? No. It was I mean, there were so many people who thought I was crazy. What are you going to do with your house? What about all of your cars? What are your kids going to do for school? And I didn't know the answer to most of those things. I was like, I don't know. We're going to figure it out. And I, I tell myself constantly that I am a woman who is adventurous and I'm not afraid to live outside of my comfort zone. It's not easy. And I had started to notice that I was way too comfortable in my life. And I know that my own personal growth happens outside of that comfort zone. And I was like, it's time for a change. It's time for something new. And so, even though I didn't know the answer to all of those things, I sent my husband to Puerto Rico and I said, can you just help us see if this is the right move for all six of us? He goes, within being there for 24 hours, he calls me and he was like, Katie, 100%, this is the best move for all of us. And my son was a senior in high school, middle of his senior year. And I said, okay, cool. And like, I asked the kids too, like, if this was a possibility, what would you think? And all of them were like, yes, let's go. I want to do it. Because we are an adventurous family. And like, I'd always look for those kinds of opportunities. And so within 2 weeks, like when my husband called and told me that, I said, if you're serious, I need to put this into action. And this is what I'm showing you. My value is to be adventurous, to live outside of my comfort zone. I noticed I wasn't doing that, but right, I was out of alignment with my values. I send my husband there to help us make this decision. He says yes. There's like 1,000 questions that I have that I don't know the answers to, but I know that I have to make this decision and put it into action. So I buy 6 one-way tickets to Puerto Rico that we're leaving in 2.5 weeks. I didn't know where we were going to live. I didn't know if we had a car when we got there, if there was even a place that was big, a family of 6. I didn't know what I was going to do with my house that was in Washington. I didn't know what we were going to do with all of our cars, but I knew I had to make that decision, put it into action. And that's what we did. And within 2.5 weeks, life, the universe, whatever you want to call it, opened up to us. The most amazing penthouse condo that was right on the beach opened up, and it just happened to be available the day that we were landing. And so we packed our bags. And what were we going to do with the house? I don't know, but we were going to figure it out. And the first thing that needed to happen is we actually needed to get our bodies into Puerto Rico. And so we got on the plane, we got to Puerto Rico, took whatever we could with us in our suitcases, and we got there. And again, the reason I'm telling you this is I have these values of being adventurous and living outside of my comfort zone, right? And so I create thoughts and beliefs that align with that value. And it makes me feel sometimes afraid, but also excited. And I made a decision to take action, not from a place of fear, right? I could have taken action from a place of fear. Oh no, where are we going to live? Oh no, what are we going to do with the house? But I made a decision to not do that and to say, you know what? Life is amazing. Things will open up. We'll figure it out. And as I was taking action from that place, life did open up. We have this tendency to really attract what we believe. And so, as I am making a decision to leap into the unknown with this hope and this optimism, things opened up. And I am technically here in Washington right now because over those 6 months, we made a decision that we were going to sell our house. And so we came back a few weeks ago. And I mean, I could show you my studio right now. It's a total disaster. It's all ripped up because I'm moving. And on Sunday, I'm getting on a plane and we're going back to Puerto Rico full time. I'm emptying my house right now. And like we literally sold everything that we have and I'm going to Puerto Rico. It's amazing. It's incredible. And it's thoughts and that create feelings and then we put that into action. And that's just one way to illustrate that and to show you how I've done that in my life. Hold on, I can't hear you, Sarah. I don't know what happened.
Are you getting the voice now? It is loud and clear. Sorry, I really don't know what's going wrong with mic, but it is super incredible. And I also showed that your home at the beach, the Puerto Rico, when you have shared this in the side second show, the balcony and the view of the beach, that was really awesome. And I really appreciate that you have shared the one thing here. It is all about our false belief what we have. But if we have the intention to uh, what, exactly focus on what exactly our desire is, right? And the second thing is, I really appreciate the second thing that we need to understand how we can just reach at that moment and universe will open the gates for us as like universe open the gate for you. This is all about the intuition that you have and you listen your intuition. That's really awesome. And so For this particular thing, I have one thing that always in my mind. What are the roadblocks people will face in their initial stage? Because it is not easy to think about how we can achieve that. Okay, means we have to focus on the particular desire or the goal that we have, but it is not easy because the circumstances is so higher. They create a wall in our journey. So how we can just figure out that particular thing?
Okay, I'm taking notes. I want to make sure people understand when I'm talking about, your mind and thinking and the power of your mind and how the world can open up. Oftentimes, that kind of language gets associated with manifestation. And I'm talking about something greater than that, honestly. I feel like there's these beliefs that, you just hope and dream and things will just happen. Or there's the other end of the spectrum, which is you got to put your head down, you got to work, 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 you got to hustle and grind, and then things will happen. And what I'm talking about is not either one of those things. In fact, it combines either end of the spectrum. And I am working hard, I am planning, I am strategizing, and I have this level of hope and faith and belief that life is actually moving to support me. And so rather than it being option one or option two, it's option three, which combines what seems like opposing thoughts and beliefs. So I want to make sure people understand that it's greater than this world of, well, just just keep imagining it and it's going to appear. There's an element of that, but it also takes tremendous discipline and hard work and strategy. And so when you can understand how to bring these two opposing worlds together, that's where the magic happens. So I want to make sure that's really, really clear. And then to answer your question about roadblocks, the greatest and most significant roadblocks are going to be the ones that are coming from the people that you love, your parents, right? Your mom and your dad, your brothers and sisters, your uncles and aunts, the people that you love and who care about you. And it's oftentimes those are the people who are going to kind of get in front of you the most because they're afraid, right? You're pushing yourself into the world, into the unknown. And that can be really scary for people, especially somebody who loves you. Maybe it's even your spouse, right? And so, in order to overcome that kind of a roadblock, you need to answer two questions. Tony Robbins says it's not that we don't have the right answers, it's that we're asking the wrong questions. And I'm going to share two questions with you right now that if you really listen to these questions and you really take some time to journal and think about these questions and really get brutally honest with yourself, listen, defining the answer to these questions and then taking action from that place has the potential to radically transform your life. And it's two questions. The first question is, who do I want to be? I was living my life in my comfort zone, and I had really kind of become a master of my domain. And it would have been easy for me to just stay comfortable. And I want to be the person who lives outside of my comfort zone. I want to be the person who's constantly taking leaps into the unknown. And so when I noticed myself being too comfortable, I want to be that person who's always growing and stretching. And so even though it was uncomfortable for me to buy those 6 one-way tickets because I didn't know where we were going to live, I didn't know what we were going to do with the house. I want to be that woman, that kind of a woman who sets that example to her children and who leaps into the unknown. So that's how I was able to make my decision. Who do I want to be? And then the second question is, what do I want? This is a question that terrifies some people because they've lived their whole life trying to be what their mom wants them to be, or their spouse wants them to be, or their father wants them to be, right? And so we can kind of live in this box of doing what we think we're supposed to do. And to break out of that and say, actually, what I want is this thing over here. And people might think you're crazy for wanting that. And it's scary, it's terrifying. So to really define and declare that and then really own it, you're going to get a lot of pushback. Those are the roadblocks that we're talking about. That's the roadblocks. But if you can make a decision, who do I want to be? And what do I want? And take action from that place, regardless of what people who love you are going to say and do. And you can say, look, mom, I love you. And I really appreciate your care and concern for me. And I know what I want. And I also know who I want to be in my life. And I know that in order to do that, I need to go do these things. So I know it scares you. I know that you're afraid. I understand that. And I ask you to acknowledge the fact that I'm a grown adult and I need to make my own decisions. So I love you and I'm going to make this decision. Who do I want to be? What do I want? Answer those two questions.
The,
Your life will, and take action from that place. Your life will totally start to transform.
Taking action is the most important thing, and I hope people are making the notes. And because I will rewatch that particular thing that you have shared with us, this is again a value bomb, and you are dropping a lot of bomb. Thank you so much. So the next thing is I have the counter question here. So as you told it right now, because I have watched some videos of Bob Proctor, and he said in his videos that universe didn't push any element to grow, just like the trees or air or something like the water to grow. So how we can adopt that particular growth or a way to attract the abundance and prosperity in our life. Sometimes people think if we didn't do the hard work, then we are not able to achieve uh, the desire that we want. We are not able to make $1,000. We are not able to make $100,000 or whatever desire we have. But it is possible, or through doing all the things with our imagination or the manifestation.
Yeah, let me share something. So, we have a very powerful mind, and life will show up to support what you believe you see. And so, if we believe we see lack and scarcity in our life, we will continue, life will show you lots of evidence of that. And to believe something other than what your reality is reflecting back to you requires something new. It's called faith. And faith is a belief in something that you cannot see. That's it. And so to believe that there is a life greater than what you're seeing around you requires a tremendous amount of faith. And there's a gap between believing what's possible for you and it actually showing up in your bank account, in your life, in your reality, in your garage, right? There is a gap. And in that gap, we have to have faith and keep going. And I remember there was this time when I was getting started and it was really hard. I had 3 young kids at my ankles and things were starting to take off. And as the business was starting to grow, I was feeling really anxious and afraid. And I was like, when is this feeling ever going to go away? And I thought, at $1 million. When my company hits $1 million, then I'll be able to feel calm and the stress will start to dissipate. And I'll be like, oh, I can take a breath. And as I imagined that possibility, I came to the realization that actually, no. When you're at $1 million, you have more to lose. You have more responsibility in your life. In a way, you have greater stress. And so that shift, that change, it has to happen now within me. And I realized, like, I was waiting until my company was at $1 million, but that I'll tell you right now personally, it's not as magical as you think it's going to be when you hit $1 million. It's extremely stressful. And the reality is that time is going, like, whether it's going to take a year, 2 years, 5 years for you to get to some point, some magical point that you think it's going to be better, that time is going to pass anyways. And the reality is we need to start making the shift and change within ourselves now to see the abundance, to live in this abundant mentality, because you'll get to that $1 million and you'll lose it if you're still in this place of scarcity. You will. So, how can I shift to a place of abundance and prosperity and believing that life has my back and taking action from that place, even though my reality says otherwise, right? Maybe I'm driving a 20-year-old dumpy car and my bank account keeps dipping below zero. Can I create abundance in my mind now and start seeing the abundance today so that I can begin to change the reality? Because again, your mind is a powerful thing. It's in your life right now today.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is so powerful. Our mind is so powerful, and we can achieve it with this particular mind. It is. It can hold whole universe in our hand, in our mind only. I hear that also in the Bob Proctor. And thank you so much that you have shared this particular thing. And one guy is asking the one thing is, what is the suggestion would you like to tell about those people who are the positive action takers and working hard but are still stuck in the same place or not able to get that much success or progress? So could you share about that also?
Yeah, I'm going to draw you a picture. Sometimes when you're just getting started and you're still kind of young in your business, you're doing a lot of things and you are carrying many hats and you've got a lot of responsibilities, right? You're creating content for Instagram. Maybe you're even posting that on YouTube. You are your customer service. You are also the product creator. You're the marketer. You're the Facebook ads guy. And oh, by the way, you're a parent and you have responsibilities. And our life looks like this, right? And we feel like, I know it's like super blown out. Um, can you guys see that though? It's a circle with arrows going every which way.
Yeah, it is.
There we
It is
go.
like
There
a
we go.
sun, and yeah. It is
There you
visible
go.
now.
Now you can see it. So we're going in all kinds of different directions. And what you need to do is you actually need to focus and start saying no to some things. I'm not talking about your spouse and kids, but we need to focus and shift our energy all into the same direction. Okay. So instead of doing things that are pulling you in different directions, we're taking all of your energy and it's moving you towards what I call your North Star. And when you do this, all of a sudden, everything's moving in the same direction and all your energy is going in the same direction and you don't feel pulled in so many different directions. So I would say to somebody who feels like they're taking action and they're hustling, are you also darting in different directions and doing too many things? And can you start saying no to some things and focus on one thing and be really, really good at that one thing? And move yourself in one direction so you can go further faster in that one direction.
Super awesome, super awesome. I hope you get your answer. And this is a very, very important thing because most probably multiple things distract our mind, distract our journey. And if you are doing or keeping your hands in multiple boats, then you are not able to drive that boat. So this is the exact thing you need to focus on the one particular thing, or maybe you need to focus like a laser focus on that particular thing. So I've already taken a lot of time, so I have only two to three things only. So how we can focus on the abundance instead of the circumstances? Is there any simple thing that we can focus on our dream or the winner's image instead of the circumstances?
Um, this is not an easy thing to do. It's not because reality is very stark and frustrating. And as I work with really high level CEOs, that's continually their frustration is they have a very strong vision of the future. So much so that they can be living in the future. And when you live in the future in your mind and your life is your reality is very different from the future, that's the frustration is there's this tremendous gap between where you are and where you want to go. And so the way that you diminish that gap is you develop an ability to be super present. It seems like the opposite of what a forward thinking innovator needs to do. And there are times and strategizing sessions and plans and vision boards that you need to create. But once you've, set those onto your whiteboard and you've communicated it to your team, you actually need to come back to the now. Because if you can be really present, that's where your power is. That's where you can create the change that you feel called to create in the world. It's in the now. And if you always live in the future, you'll continually be frustrated and you will disempower your ability to create that future because in the present moment, you're frustrated. And the same is true with hanging on to the regret of the past. If you are always living in the past, you're frustrated that you didn't do X, Y, and Z, and you're frustrated that you made that decision. and you're constantly living in the regret of the past, you're also diminishing your ability to create change in the now. And so learn from the past to bring what we talked about earlier, bring gratitude for the past. Learn from those experiences and set them down. Don't drag them around on your back and burden yourself with the weight of the regret. Learn the lesson, be grateful for what you experienced. And yeah, it took some time and resources and money. Maybe you lost money, maybe you lost time. But if you learn from those, you didn't lose those things. Like you gained tremendous value from those experiences. Take the gift of that, apply it to the now, and you will leapfrog your competition. You will take this quantum leap in creating that future that you want so badly. So, the thing that's going to help somebody who is taking action and yet feeling frustrated that their reality doesn't reflect the abundance they have in their mind, learn to be present. There's an amazing book by a man named Eckhart Tolle called The Power of Now, and he can show you what it's like to be really present in your life, and he can show you how to make changes in your mind to help you to be more present, because it will empower you in your life and it will empower you to create that future vision that you dream of.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for sharing that particular resource. The book named The Power of Now. I have that particular book also, and it is literally awesome book. And we it is all about the vision, how strong we can create that particular vision, the strong mindset we will create that. So thank you. Actually, have take a lot of time. I want to hear the one specific thing for the beginner because mainly here all are the beginners or they are most probably their initial stage. So, what will be your best piece advice for them?
I like to paint a picture, create a vision for what it is that I'm building and creating. I need a target so that I can aim at that target. My target, I call it my North Star. And once you have that defined, you need to start walking it back. Okay? If I'm going to be there in 90 days, and I like near-term targets, by the way. If I want to be there in 90 days, and it needs to be something that's realistic. So if I want to be at that point in 90 days, what needs to have happened by 60 days and what needs to have happened by 30 days? Term vision, and I'm right here. I'm looking at what's right in front of me. So what's the next step that I need to take? So we need to, in a sense, yes, define what we want way into the future, right? 12 months from now, 5 months, or sorry, 12 months, 5 years from now. And then we need to kind of set it down and not be so focused on it that we're frustrated because of the gap, but define near term targets and steps that are aligned with that and move me towards that longer term target. But focus on these ones because they are right in front of me. And that feels exciting. It feels exhilarating. They're just right outside of my reach, which feels possible, right? And we have hope, we have optimism. And so that's right where I like to be. Define the longer term targets and then set near term targets that line me up towards that are steps towards it. And then stay focused on what's right in front of me.
This is literally awesome again, super awesome. We need to create the long term vision, then divide it into the small chunks. Then it become easy to reach that place. So thank you so much, Katie Richardson. Thank you so much to share this value bombs, and I hope all people you are making the notes and preparing the old notes in your notebook, golden nugget notebook that I already told you to create in my show because always guests come and share their experience, their knowledge, and the value bombs with us. So thank you so much, Richard. So uh, again, could you let us where people can find you? I have just created two links where the people can find you. So let me just share that Instagram link and your website here on the, and I
Awesome.
also present that in the comment section or the description. So is there anything where people can find you?
Yeah, I try to stay super active on Instagram. And I'm Katie.live on Instagram. And I also have my own podcast, What's Working Now. And I share a lot of my story in the first 8 episodes. You can learn a lot in those first 8 episodes. And then I interview entrepreneurs who, like me, are playing a very big game, but are doing it in a way where we can be really present with our family, grow those relationships, feel grounded and happy in our life, and create, millions of dollars and significant impact and reach in the world. So that's where I like to do it. And also, if you go to my website, there's a link to sign up for my newsletter. I share amazing wisdom in my newsletter. I send it out once a week. And if you're on that list, you'll then be the first to know if and when I'm doing free trainings, which I try to do once a quarter. So yeah, stay in my world. Send me a DM. I respond to my DMs. And let me know what you're experiencing, and I can point you in the right direction and help you out.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You are the biggest inspiration or the best interview episode ever that I have done with you. This literally, when I saw your interview, the struggle that you have did, and the responsibility that you have, a lot of responsibilities, and you're handling in the very much frequent way. That's really inspired us and our family members also. Also, the future also, if the people see my interview, so they will learn that still people are here in this journey who have a lot of responsibilities and they are just uh, handling all the things with families and spending the time, which is most important in this journey. That's we are here. That's the reality. We are doing it all in business and other things. So thank you so much, Katie. I'm so grateful to have you on my show. Thank you so much for your precious time.
Yeah, you're welcome, Suraj. It's been amazing to be here. I really appreciate it. It's been an honor.
Thank you. Thank you. Just let me finish it, and I will connect you for a while. Just stay in the background.
Okay,
Thank you so much, Richard.
bye.
Bye. So, guys, as you see, Kathy shared a lot of golden nuggets, and I hope you learn a lot with this episode. I will also reshare this episode because that is literally with, fulfilled with the golden nuggets and the value bombs. And if you want to create your mindset and the positive or the strong mindset, then you should buy this again and again and again and again because this is the particular thing that will help you to create a positive and the strong mindset. How you can learn from the experts who are already in that particular niche and teaching others how they can create that particular thing. So thank you so much for today, and I will come back soon with a new episode with a new marketer expert. Thank you so much. Bye bye.